Hello and welcome to another episode of 757 Business Spotlights, the show where we shine light on incredible small businesses. We're making an impact here in the Hampton Roads area of Virginia. I'm your host, Joe Singleton, and founder of Singtone Technologies, where we help organizations across public and private sectors modernize, secure, and grow. From federal and local government agencies to commercial businesses, we support our clients with tailored solutions in cybersecurity, IT modernization, digital marketing, social media management, and advanced SEO, all designed to elevate operations and maximize visibility in today's digital world. Today's episode, we have Wayne Holcomb from Holcomb Law, and I appreciate you coming out.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
please, you have a fascinating history
Okay.
from starting off as a naval aviator
Right.
and then transitioning into having your own law firm.
Right.
So please walk us through that transition.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I think I always knew I would be going to law school. It was a dream of mine from a young age. My parents all knew about it, But I ended up going to college, of course, and then went into the Navy to fly. And I flew for 20 years, flew Navy E-2s out of this area. So that's why I'm in this area after I retired. And then after that tour was complete, I went on the GI Bill, went to law school locally here as well. And then now I'm in a different kind of warfare. So,
Yes.
yeah. So then after that, worked for a different firm for a little while, a couple of years, and then started my own firm after that.
All right. Awesome. Great humble beginnings.
Right.
Because I
Yes.
believe your family's out from the Midwest.
Correct. Yep.
And
Yep.
you decided to stay here in the
Yeah.
Hampton Roads area.
Right.
Don't blame you there.
Right.
My grandma doesn't live too far from your family.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Out in Kansas, right? Yeah.
All right. So what kind of cases do y'all primarily handle at Holcomb Law?
So, 5 main areas: family law, criminal and traffic law, injury, personal injury, estate work, and civil matters. We just added civil matters this year to our repertoire and by opening an office over in Yorktown on 17 there. It's a great location. And all those areas, what we do is, I kind of joke about this, that all I've done is put, being a nice person with being a lawyer in the same place. So we really endeavor our core values, our mission statements, what we teach and pound, to our people throughout the year is always about empathy. We have empathy training about how to approach people with like you actually care, which is nice in our profession. Often the professions, doctors, lawyers, whatever, CPAs, they just don't really understand that. They think their expertise is enough, that they should be respected, and come flock to me because I know everything. That's great. You have to know your stuff, of course.
Yeah.
But I think it misses the point when it comes to marketing and really drawing people in. And then, have an MBA also. I went to MBA school at ODU and I was in the Navy. So they always say that if you make one person happy or make them angry, they'll tell 9 of their friends. So it's always a factor of 10 when you don't treat someone well. So that's what we've done, just kind of integrate that into our practice areas. So, and I've also merged with a couple of firms that do these kinds of practice areas because I wanted somebody who knew what they were doing. So I'm also pretty experienced. Yeah. So
partnerships
yes.
because speaking with a lot of people, they're always, when they go to doctors, they're always talking about bedside manner.
Yeah.
But that applies to almost every industry,
It
right?
does. It
So
does.
you want to make sure you do care, approach people and speak to them as if they are a person and they have real issues that you're trying to take care of.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
So one of the things you said was in regards to estate planning and stuff like that. A lot of people don't really know the difference between a will versus a trust. Can you walk us through that?
Well, I have an individual that his name is David Burley. He practices in my firm. He was on his own doing estate work for many years. We actually met in law school. We were both old law school students. Second career. He was an Air Force guy actually, and so he does this work for us. So in my view, a will is just simpler. It just lays out where stuff goes when you pass, transition, of course. And then a trust is more detailed. For example, if you want to give your kids their money over time, and you don't want to give it to them all when they're 18, $2 million when they're 18 years old, you can do that much easier in a trust. In fact, it'd be awkward in a will to do that. So it's just more malleable. You can make it more specific to your needs.
Okay.
We always recommend a trust, of course, over a will. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Awesome. So you offer legal services in areas family law, criminal defense. How do you ensure personalized support across the diverse ecosphere of all your practices?
Yeah, kind of what I mentioned a minute ago, where I've merged with. So let's see, I first merged with a guy who was primarily doing criminal and GAL work. So he's involved in the family law work as a guardian ad litem, representing the children. So he was involved in a lot of divorce and family work from that side of the fight. And then he merged with me. That gave me some expertise there. Then two others, criminal traffic guy, and a state guy came along. Now a civil business guy comes along, and I merged with them. So I merged with their marketing with my marketing, which is of course good. And then I merged their expertise as well.
Okay.
So, and now these guys are now starting to train other guys. They're getting a bit older, so I'm starting to train other guys to take over for them if they would retire, and we just kind of do that. So it's kind of specialization what I try to do. Although there's some crossover, we can do different things. Some of us, but it's mainly specializing and merging.
That makes perfect sense. I know that when we look for partners, if we look at the Venn diagram, there's always a little bit of overlap. But in order for you to grow as a firm or a company, you have to be able to diversify your portfolio, so to speak, and add those things where you don't overlap in order to cover more area. So it makes perfect sense. So Holcomb Law, your motto, you matter here. And I think that kind of speaks to what you were talking about before with the bedside manner. Can you walk us through how you came about that motto and the value you have behind it?
It's funny. I see that around the country a little bit, not too often, but I see that used as a logo or across around the world, around the country. So it is not uncommon, but it's not trademarked. So I don't have that. I don't own it. But I was drafting a handbill one time to pass out at an event somewhere, and right in the middle I just wrote in caps, "You matter here." And I thought, and that just kind of works, So it's on my license plate. It's like it's all our stuff, So and it really does embody though, like I was saying earlier, that we are so committed to treating people right. And I have never let someone go, never fired anyone who made a mistake or who did something that I didn't think was the best thing. We just fix it. But I've let several people go over the years for not understanding how to talk on the phones, and how to treat clients well, even opposing counsel well, even judges, of course. Even the janitor. I mean, the guy that cleans the building, we love him, and we be sure he knows that. So that's where we've gone with this "You Matter Here" mentality.
Yeah, and it speaks towards your greatest client is technically your employees.
That's right.
So,
exactly
and then when you treat your employees the way they should be treated, kind of like the golden rule, treat others the way you want to treat yourself.
Right.
That's where it kind of comes from, and it grows from there, right?
Yeah. I mean, and on that note, the number I was shocked to hear this. It's been years ago now, but I was shocked to hear that the number one complaint about lawyers in the nation is not money. It's not they're too expensive. It's not they don't have expertise. It's communications. So everyone the number one thing is communications. If they can't find you for 4 or 5 days, or if they can't talk to you when they need to, they feel like they just can't get to you. They will not feel like you have their back because they can't find you.
Yes.
And so we really pound that as well, the communication, the caring, the communication, and the clarity of what we can expect and what we do. But it's mainly the comms. So we talked about this in a meeting this morning in my advisory council meeting. There are a group of people that helped me run the place. And it was a topic of conversation just this morning. I got a couple of emails this week. Hey, I sent 3 emails. That's a crisis right now. If someone sends 3 emails looking for you, or they call you twice, they can't find you, it's a crisis for us. We fix it now.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. And you bring up a good point. It's not always about just coming in and like, oh, I know this stuff. But sometimes you have to be re-educated, continuous learning. So how often do you have those type of meetings with your professional team to reiterate your practices and your beliefs, and to make sure that they remind them about how to interact with customers?
Yeah. The goal is that I have a lead paralegal who meets with my paralegals and some of the staff and the legal assistants. And I've got a lead attorney who meets with the lawyers. And my goal, it doesn't always happen this way, my goal is to meet once a month myself with all the lawyers and really to talk about this and make sure we're trained well. And then the paralegals do the same thing. So about monthly meetings. We have an annual team summit each January, February, where we go away for a couple of days, 3 days, and it really just it's half for us. It's half retreat, half business meeting.
Mhm.
We do our best to teach and train there as well. There's required reading. If they do that, I don't know. I don't go to their house and look at them. But we have some required reading about once a year on this
Okay.
topic. So kind of keep it fresh, keep it
But
fresh.
no book reports, huh?
Yeah, no big words. I thought about it a few times. I thought about it. Yeah.
Awesome. So a lot of people worry about the cost of hiring a lawyer. How does Holcomb Law approach these affordable transparency and legal fees? And
Yeah.
when you engage, like, I guess a better question would probably be, what's the process of bringing in a new client or person and
Right.
then treating them throughout the whole entire process?
Right. So we're not the cheapest firm in town. We're not the most expensive firm in town. Let's just start with that. But we found over the years that if you focus on value, focus on the client,
Hmm.
their case, focus on getting that right, clients are a lot less. They don't care about cost too much. So, for example, there are years that go by, and I do probably we do about 1,000 a year new clients and about 100 mediation clients as well. So there are years that go by where I don't get one question about what is your hourly rate. Once if you do a consultation correctly and they know they want you because you're the guy, you're their guy, they know you've got their back, they feel comfortable, they don't ask the question. Or where'd you go to law school? They don't care. It's not me that matters.
Yeah.
It's them that matters. So I get very little pushback on that sort of thing. Once in a while, we get somebody that we have to help in the end there, get it done, get the payments done, and get the. We also have a kind of a pay plan for our criminal traffic stuff. So they half up front, half later, or something like that. So we try to get them some help that way. But it's mainly, I know the guy that started Chick-fil-A, his name was Kathy, right? Uh, he was he was in a meeting one day, and all his team was talking about all the competition and all this, just moaning about it, and he said something like, "I want to take all this effort and talk about my chicken sandwich. That's
Okay.
how I win." So that really, I didn't memorize it better, but that story really got to me. I'm like, okay, I need to worry about my value, what we're providing, make sure it's excellent on every. Excellence is our goal every step of the way.
Exactly,
Yeah.
because price is what you pay, but value
Yes.
is what's important
Yeah.
in what you receive.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
makes perfect sense. Makes perfect sense. Your site features a free download. Like, do I really need an attorney?
Yeah.
Why is client education such a big part of your firm?
So years ago, I got in a marketing group, and their main focus was information marketing.
Okay.
So before that, I had old paralegals and old staffers around me that would say, "Now, Mr. Holcomb, you don't really get a bunch of legal advice out in your consults. They got to pay you for that. That's what you do. They got to pay you for your legal advice. Which technically only lawyers can give legal advice.
Yeah.
But legal information is a little different. And then we changed at that point about 10 years ago. We changed everything. We changed our website. I did a lot more this kind of stuff with on our website, a lot of information flowing, and I would answer any question in consult. I'll pull out the law books and show them what's going on if I need to,
Mm.
because that makes them feel like we're meeting their needs. Because lawyers can get confused sometimes. They think somehow, lawyers think often, somehow that they've come to hire me as a lawyer. The website's is about them. Here's how good I am. Here's how great I am. My education, my experience, whatever. And the way I sell myself as a professional in the consult. But the truth of the matter is, that's not what they're looking for. They're looking for an answer to their question or their problem, their
Yeah.
dispute. They want help with their problem. They don't care who you are necessarily, as long as you can help them, right?
Yeah.
So we kind of changed everything about how we do that with information. Now I say I'm an author, but I've written 3 books. One of them is "Do Not Hire a Family Law Lawyer Until You've Read This Book." You mentioned that one. One about reckless driving, and one about mediation. And they're about 50 pages. They're small. They're marketing books.
Okay.
They're on Amazon. But we also give you a copy free if you want it when you walk in the door, if you want one. So, and those are just to provide that information and let people know that we do know what we're doing.
Mhm.
They're all question answer format. So
Makes
the
sense.
question, you can look at the index, see the question, go across, and get exactly what you want out of it.
Okay.
So it's a marketing tool.
And educational.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
So,
Yeah.
because I know even with my background being program manager, the number one thing is setting expectations.
Yeah.
If you set expectations properly, then that means everybody's going to be able to communicate. Of course, that's number one.
Right. Right. Yes.
Treat them as a
Yes.
person.
Right.
But then as they're speaking to you, you're like, hey, okay, this is what's going to happen. This is what you've told me.
Right.
Because of this, and this is going to follow in line.
Right.
I mean, there's a process. Everybody has a different process depending upon the industry that they're in, right?
Yeah.
But setting that expectations to allow them to know what's about to happen, keep them prepared.
Yes. Very important. Very important.
Very important.
Yes. Yes.
All right. So how do you help people feel more confident when navigating their legal journey?
Yeah. So that's in our mind. That's purely a function of communication, clarity, of course, and just um, laying out. Here's how the road's going to look, most likely. Here's how we prepare for that, and so we're ready to go. It's all about communication and the right path. So, for example, in a consult, a lot of the problems with lawyers is in consults they just talk too much. I mean, you've got to hear what's on his or her mind to know how to make that path clear to them where we're going and how we get there. And many lawyers, I mean, they'll miss the point. One time years ago, I had 3 people come to consults with me, and all 3 of them, they're all 3 were women, divorced, very stressful divorce situations, and they all 3 told me that. Well, I left my last consult in tears. I really appreciate this, and I want to hire you.
Oh man!
And so I thought to myself, when they left, I thought to myself, what and I know they didn't hire the guy for the reason probably, but I mean, what would you say to a client that would make them leave in tears?
That's a good question.
It's crazy. But they would say, you're basically going down. I'm going to help you. It just would be very not encouraging and just not really clear about what the options are to get out of this. And they just would lose a lot of clients that way. See, so that's how we deal with that. It's mainly communication.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh wow! Leaving it's just a consultation and they leave behind. Oh man.
So I know what they're doing. They're trying to do. They may be trying to set expectations for how much can I actually do for you in court. But also, it's setting the worst possible scenario. So if they do something better, they're a hero. See, it's psychology. I think it's psychology.
Okay.
That's what I think it is.
Oh, like what is it, Mr. Scotty on Star Trek?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Exactly.
I see.
Yeah.
So that is a client success story. But can you share another client success story that really illustrates the impact of your work?
So we have a lot of course. I should say this first. In family law, I'm asked occasionally, how many cases do you win? And I always kind of go, well, in family law, it's not really about winning and losing. It isn't, because every case is different. It's always, if it involves children, it's always about the best interest of the children. Yes. Your client could be a saint and him or her not, and the way it works out is what's in the best interest of those children. So you may be on the wrong side of that either way. So your client may lose some time with the kids. Does it mean you're a bad lawyer? It does not. So there really isn't any winning and losing, really. But we have routinely cases where it just looks hopeless. I need to get my kids away from a narcissistic parent, or even in the criminal side. I'm kind of in the vernacular, I'm kind of screwed here. I need some help here. Keep me out of jail. Keep me out of jail.
Yes.
We have those happen often, and I think we just focus on, like I said a minute ago, focus on the process, focus on providing value, providing excellent service, and the outcomes tend to follow.
So how has Holcomb Law evolved in the local community, or has been involved, in the local community?
Yeah. So we now sponsor annually the Pocosin Seafood Festival. I don't know if you've been out there, but we're the sponsor of that event. Great family-oriented time. It's there's no alcohol there, for example. It's a great time for kids to come play, meet others in the community, and just I don't know, maybe hundreds of booths, maybe dozens, hundreds, but a lot of booths. You can walk around and meet people and really kind of show off your stuff in the community. So we sponsor that event. We also sponsor quite heavily CareNet. It's in the local ministry for unwed mothers and such. We do a lot of seminars, really kind of monthly. We do seminars for elderly that need estate planning work in various living centers around.
Yeah.
And that's been very, very fulfilling for us. And also, I'm on the board of CASA, court-appointed special advocates.
Okay.
That take care of kids in situations where there's not a guardian ad litem involved, they can't afford one, or the courts have a different way of doing things. So we support that and help in that training of those people too.
I see. All right. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you give back to the community, you share. I mean, because
Right.
you love the community. That's why you just
Right.
decided to stay here, right?
That's right.
I
That's right.
mean,
Yes.
yeah. So it makes perfect sense. Perfect sense. So what are some common myths or misconceptions about legal representation, courtroom outcomes, that you would like to
Right.
clear up?
Well, I watch Law and Order a lot. I love the lawyer shows, of course.
I'm sure a
Matt
lot of people do.
Matlock,
Yes.
LA Law back in the day. So I think we kind of laugh about this. But, some of our problems are that people watch those shows.
Mhm.
They expect there to be this moment where, there's this information comes out of nowhere, some epiphany, and the judge's hammer goes down, you win. But it's just not that way. That's movie stuff.
Okay.
That's good writers, good movie, good show writers. So misconceptions are sometimes there's this we got to find a way to win this. With some information I can find that's unusual or that's I'm going to hire a PI to follow my soon-to-be ex-wife around and see what she's doing and try to put a GPS on her car and see where she
Yeah.
so it gets kind of illegal, by the way. But so it's and mainly that that these cases are that they're quick because almost none of them are. Like in Law and Order, they say 9 a.m. tomorrow morning for the hearing. Yeah, no. In the real world, that's 6 months away. I mean, it's a
Okay.
long time. So it's much slower. It can tend to cost more than we think sometimes, and it's just less predictable than Law and Order and that's kind of TV shows.
All right. So you bring up two questions in my mind right now. So you say 6 months. In the Constitution, it says the right to
Hmm.
speedy trial. I think
Yes, it does.
something on the
Right.
is that did I say the right words?
Yes, you
All
did.
right.
You did. Yeah.
So in the definitions of the way our forefathers wrote the Constitution,
Hmm.
how does that translate today when you say speedy trial versus 6 months, a year, two
Right.
years?
Right. So a speedy trial, it only considers criminal cases, so not civil.
Okay.
So civil can drag out forever. There's no limit on that. And many times in the criminal world, you might waive that right because if it's best for your client, you don't want to push this. If it's
Hmm.
best for your client, other times you want to lean on it and say speedy trial. Let's go. So that's with criminal matters.
Okay.
Yeah, civil different, much different.
Okay.
Yeah,
I see.
yeah.
I got to keep that in mind,
Right,
civil versus criminal.
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then my other question is, because I remember when I was in college, when I had to learn about the UCMJ and military justice codes and all of
Hmm.
the fun stuff.
Hmm.
Um, we watched My Cousin Vinny
Yes.
and Murder in the First.
Okay. Okay.
Um, and I've seen other lawyers online talk about their experiences with their background versus how they view those two movies. What are your takes?
So I've watched My Cousin Vinny many times. I've heard him the first couple times. But they used my law school. They used My Cousin Vinny in the evidence course,
Oh, really?
and they actually used that movie clips, of that movie to show how and how not to do stuff, and it was very, very effective. So the movie is actually very useful to lawyers, I think, to see. I really enjoy the movie. So, but there are a lot of good evidence points made in that movie that you really should, as a lawyer, know what's going on with those.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right. Yeah, it's always good to hear how, because I've seen military movies, right? Of course,
Hmm.
we both have military backgrounds,
Right,
and
right.
so I remember Behind Enemy Lines.
Hmm.
And when I went through combat survival training, they used that movie as okay, this is what you do not do. you
Right,
know,
right, right.
so excuse me.
Sure.
So to hear when you talk about a movie and you're like, okay, these are some good points right here. It's always good to
Yeah,
see
yeah.
what Hollywood does right and Hollywood does wrong.
Right. And often they do get some things right, but just not
Yes,
always.
not
Not
always,
always.
not
Yeah.
always. All right. So what should someone actually expect when working with your team, especially in a high stress environment or a situation like a custody case or DUI?
Right. So it comes back around to communication again. So
Yeah.
we have clients that we actually like among our clients as individual lawyers, we'll designate some clients like an executive client.
Hmm.
So those clients can afford to pay us a little more to be a little more proactive. So we do it. So uh, frankly, that's the kind of client I would be. I'd want to know what's going on weekly. Where am I? What this is slowing down? Why? I mean, I'd need like a 10-minute call every week. Where am I? What's going on? Are we successful or not? What's the next move? That's the kind of guy I am. When I get somebody to fix my whatever at the house, want them to let me know what's going on. So those kind of people, we take a little more care to make sure we touch them, for example, once a week or as soon as we can on a regular basis. Most folks don't need that kind of care. They're fine. They trust us, and we tell them what's going on down the road. So if they know, for example, if communication is good, they know, for example, my hearing is 3 months away. We're going to look at and get prepared about a month out. They'll know this, they can relax these 2 months and just move through it. So it all comes down to communication.
Okay.
What the client needs.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what is your first steps for someone who might need legal help but isn't sure where to start?
That's why I wrote that book, Do Not Hire a Family Law Lawyer Until You Read This Book. So it actually that book is about the overwhelming messaging on, now that we're living in the internet world. You can go online, look for a lawyer, and you'll get 1,000 options, and you'll get so many ways to look at it. You can't even, it's useless. It's just too much. So in that book, I go through what to look for: ratings, reviews, of course, experience, and this type of thing. Look for these. It helps weed out the others who are just, talking loud. So that book was made for that reason. And I had so many clients say, "How do I know what to do?" I mean, I've got 5 consults. You have to kind of walk them through what they should look for. And I even in that book, I believe I wrote it a long time ago, but I think there's actually a checklist in the back of it, kind of what to look for when you go through a consultation with a lawyer, what to look for, what not to look for.
Yeah. And what was that book name again?
Do not hire a family law lawyer until you read this book.
It's literally called
It
Do
is
Not
called
Hire.
Yeah, yes.
So that should be easy to remember. Do not hire a family lawyer until you read this book.
Exactly.
Read the book.
read the book. Yeah, it is on Amazon, or you can get it at our office. Just come by and pick it up.
All right.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know, they're located near Patrick Henry Mall.
Yes.
And, I did not do a good job of making sure I said your website address,
Yeah.
which is attorneyholcomb.com.
attorneyholcomb.com, yes.
attorneyholcomb.com.
Yeah.
Right.
And we have several locations. So we have actually 4 manned locations. One is in Virginia Beach. One is in Lynchburg. It's kind of an interesting story of how we got out there. And then, of course, the one in Newport News by Patrick Henry Mall. Yes. Then it's our main office. It's the mothership. And then now just the one out in Yorktown on 17.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are they able to go to all those offices and pick up these selections of fine reading?
Yes, I think, yes. If not, we'll get that done. Yeah, I believe so, but we'll get it done.
All right. Okay. So when they want to talk to you, should they fill out a form online? Should they search your office location and come make an appointment? What's the best way for clients to reach you? Because now that they know the address, the website address, what's the best way to actually get a hold of you?
Yeah, just give us a call, and then we'll set an appointment time. So long ago, we dispensed with trying to do walk-ins. It's just too hard. If someone does walk in, we'll set an appointment tomorrow or later on today or something. We'll find somewhere to fit them in. But we don't do that anymore. So just call. I've got a fine 4-member intake specialist team that will take care of you, and get you where you need to be. And then, of course, you'll have that time to talk to the lawyer in the consultation mode, which in our case does mean a lot of legal information as well. So he or she will walk you through everything in a half an hour or whatever you have, but we'll get you started for sure. And again, the goal is to give you enough information to help you relax a bit, not be so tight, and realize there are options. We can help, and then keep them involved in the case. That's one thing I didn't mention is that we endeavor to try to keep our clients involved in their own case, because it's their own case.
It's their case. Yeah, that makes sense.
So, for example, they're often, not always, but they're often involved, clients, in our strategy, either we can go this or we can go this way. They're often given the cost-benefit analysis. If we want to spend a bunch of money, we can take this to trial and this to trial, but maybe not this. There's different ways to look at things that really the client needs to be involved in. And they feel like they're more satisfied in the end of the case, kind of win or lose, so to speak, because they were involved in the process all the way.
Yeah, and that kind of goes back to what we said earlier in regards to setting expectations, right?
Right.
Because setting that expectation is also creating a strategy on how to approach their
Yes.
case and how to deal with it. And
Yes.
hopefully, I know you said there's no win or loss depending upon
Sometimes.
the case,
Right. Right.
but to have a better outcome
Yes.
of the case. Yeah.
Yes. Exactly. Even our criminal cases or traffic cases, I mean, often the win is to stay out of jail, or the win is to not have a criminal conviction for like reckless driving, for example. Which in Virginia, if you're over 20 over 85, it's considered reckless driving, which is a misdemeanor, not a traffic infraction. So
Wait, say that again. 20 over.
if you're 20 miles an hour over, or over 85, on interstates, and you can get pulled over for reckless driving, that is not a traffic infraction, that is a misdemeanor. So there's potential jail time involved in that. Once in a while, a judge will give someone jail time if they've gone 120 miles an hour or something. They'll get a weekend in jail. So that jail time is often avoiding jail time is often a very important goal. Then just having it reduced out of the criminal zone, which is just a traffic infraction, it's 3 points, 4 points, whatever. Nobody cares except the insurance company. So often there's a lot of ways to win just in mitigation.
Yeah, makes sense.
Absolutely.
Makes sense.
Absolutely. Yes.
So you say 20 over,
Mhm.
man. I don't know how many times I've been on the freeway here and seen a lot of people go.
Oh, yeah.
Man, they're in a hurry.
That book is called "How Much Trouble Am I in Now?"
Oh.
So this cover has somebody stop with lights behind them. You're like, oh, what's going to happen now?
Oh, you wrote another book called that?
Yeah, it's one. So the books I've written are about are family law and then reckless driving, because so many people don't understand what that means. What happened? What just happened to me? They had no idea.
Yeah.
So the reckless driving book is called "How Much Trouble Am I in Now?" And I wrote a book on mediation as well, family and business mediation.
Okay. Well, you have to come back again when we'll talk about the mediation
Sounds
center,
good.
and then that will be another great conversation.
Yes, will do.
One other final question,
Mm-hmm.
and you kind of touched on it, and I want to bring it out more. Is I know that a lot of times, like medical attorneys, the practice in one state.
Mm-hmm.
Are the lawyers under your firm only allowed to practice within the state of Virginia?
Mm-hmm.
Is there like reciprocity? I don't know if that's the right word, for North Carolina or Maryland.
So lawyers nationwide are licensed in their state, or DC has their own as well. So if you want to be licensed in Virginia, say in DC and Maryland and North Carolina, you have to go there, either take their bar exam, pass their bar, which is sometimes the case, or if you have a lot of experience, you can petition to be allowed to practice in their state after you have 15 years experience, something like that. I think every state's probably different as well. So you can do that. And also then the last thing you can do is it's a Latin phrase I'll never forget, pro hoc vice. Pro hoc vice. You can go. I could go to North Carolina right now.
Like a dish.
I know. Latin, of course, but I can't recall what it's how you describe it. If I go to North Carolina and you got a traffic ticket, I can roll into the court with you, say, Judge, I'm a Virginia lawyer, and I have a petition in my hand, a motion to be allowed to practice pro hoc vice in North Carolina for this case. I'll ask a few questions. You know what you're talking about. You know what you're doing. Yes. What's your experience? I'll sign off on it, and you can practice for that case in a different state.
Okay.
So you have an option. You can try.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you primarily focus on this within the state or the Commonwealth of Virginia.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. But there are small mitigating exceptions.
So if we have cases that would involve someone in North Carolina, which is a stone's throw from here, as you know, so we'll just associate with somebody down there who's practiced down there, and so we'll run the case. They'll do the litigating kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, our client's here, but they need to be down there too. So
especially like spouse situations, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Things like that.
All right. Well, any final thoughts that our audience may want to know?
No, just thank you, Joe, for making this happen. And I think I would just tell your audience that there is a difference in law firms. There just is. We talk to different law firms all the time, as from our firm, and I always talk about the Holcomb Law difference. And it is simply that we're training, we're focused. I demand that our clients are treated well, are understood. We listen more than we talk. We learn that. If I get a lawyer in who's very good, who doesn't get this empathy thing, I'll give them re-education training. I'll help them understand, why we're doing this, and this is a big deal. And it has made this firm grow faster than most. Simply that commitment. not being the most experienced and white-haired lawyers in the area. There are great lawyers out there that have been around forever, and I would go to them myself. But our firm has grown faster than theirs because of this approach to the people. You matter here.
You matter.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a reason why we have 2 ears and 1 mouth.
That's right. Very good. That is true. That is true.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you, Wayne.
Thank you.
And appreciate you coming in and explaining your experience and everything and your law firm. I mean, it is great. I go there at least once a week just to say hi to everybody, and they're always welcoming.
Yeah.
And so it's that's a skill set.
Yes, we believe it is. Yes.
All right. Yeah. Well, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
And if you are a business in the Hampton Roads area of Virginia and would like to be featured on the 757 Business Spotlight podcast, please reach out to me, Joe Singleton, at jsingleton@singtonellc.com. That is sing as in singing a song, tone of my voice, llc.com. Again, that's jsingleton@singtonellc.com. Or you can reach me at 757-504-0678. Again, that's 757-504-0678. Thank you for listening, and I hope you had fun, and stay tuned for our next episode.